You do www.andrewmarkmusic.com, Riff-Vlog on science.
But before we get started, I'm in a bit of stream of consciousness this morning, and I just want to riff on 3 videos I watched. Not against the people, but against what they're saying. The first one is Styx Hexenhammer 666, whose whole channel is about non-corporatism, and then he ends up shilling for Donald Trump. Now, if I met Donald Trump, I would probably like the guy. I mean, I don't have personally anything against Donald Trump as a person, but let's at least be honest and say there's no doubt that Trump and his administration are the worst aspects of corporate shillism. Okay, so if you're against corporatism, you cannot be for these people. Okay, what's happening here, I suspect, without accusation, is an attachment to one's identity, right? And then having that spill over into one's ideology, right? So it's a very subtle form of bigotry. I'm sorry. Other than that, great channel. That's my only criticism there. And then Michael Shermer's one on Mythicist Milwaukee's channel. And I like Michael Shermer. I mean, I've investigated everything that I could possibly investigate in my life. Anything I was interested in, I investigate it. And I'm a natural skeptic, but, hey, take a look at these glasses, Michael. That's what you need. Okay, read some Schopenhauer, Nietzsche. Okay, like 8 years of Obama sunshine has got the rosiest colored glasses on you that I've ever heard, and frankly, it's disturbing. Okay, We'll just leave it at that for this one. I'll come back to that as I address the science issue, okay? And then, the flat earth and Eric Dubay, okay? Look, I have no problem with people that want to believe the earth is flat. As far as my daily life, it may as well be flat. I don't feel any curvature. I don't feel any spin. Gravity is meaningless to me in a way because I will agree that an apple drops, right? But then a feather flies up into the sky. So what gravity is to me is contradictory, okay, as far as my lived experience. So if people want to take those phenomenon or those experiences and say the earth is flat, fine. The only thing I have to say about flat earthers is the same thing I have to say about people who want to believe that 2,000-year-old stories are true. I believe the best thing that humanity could do right now is to pass laws to make them live like the Amish. Okay, because for the first and foremost reason, if any of these, people who believe these stories that are 2,000 years old literally get a hold of a nuke, it could just do serious damage. So I think civilization has to seriously consider passing laws. I would call them the Amish laws, and go ahead, believe the earth is flat, believe that this book is literally true in the way it says. But then, in my opinion, you have to live by the Amish laws, and this would be so good for civilization. It would take out the nuke situation. I take pollution seriously. It would cut down on pollution, with all these millions and billions of people that believe this stuff, having to be forced by law to live ecologically sane lives. Okay, so invoking quantum mechanics within flat earth spirituality. I mean, this is hugely problematic. I'm going to be nice here and not come out and say that it's retarded. Oops. All right, so anyway, quantum mechanics is premised on a 13.7 billion-year-old universe, and it's inherently linked to relativity theory. They haven't found a unified theory, but that doesn't mean that quantum mechanics isn't true. All right? And it cannot be used as a defense of flat earth spirituality. Okay, it's just wrong on every level. So if you're going to argue for the flat Earth and any kind of concept of God with the flat Earth, do not invoke quantum mechanics. Okay, do not invoke the scientist David Bohm. All right, so who's one of the most brilliant scientists to ever live, in my opinion. Bringing in the Tao of Physics, Fritjof Chopra, Deepak Chopra. This is popular culture Vedanta. This is not very accurate. Okay, this is religion. Okay. Ken Wilber's right, and the last place you should really look for God is the foundation of physics. Okay, so especially if you're looking for God as a person, you ain't going to find him there. Now, theoretically, processes, yes. Could the quantum field be some type of link to consciousness in some kind of vast supercomputer analogy? Hey, I think it's possible. I'm certainly, my Gnostic leanings certainly think that's, yeah, but is that science today? Is that a law of science? No, it's complete speculation. The holographic universe is the philosophy of science, multidimensional speculations about the nature of the universe, the philosophy of science. This is not the theory of science. This is not, scientific law. So don't invoke these ideas for a flat Earth cosmology. If you want to argue for a flat Earth cosmology, you need to argue it in a consistent manner, in a coherent fashion, not using fallacies after fallacies after fallacies piled on top of fallacies. And again, I don't have any problem with flat earthers. If you want to believe the earth is flat, go ahead and believe it. You see my post on what I want to bring in the Amish laws. But I know I'm a bad motherfucker. All right. So that's it. Now let's get on to science. Okay, so we have to get clear on what it can know and what it can't. This is epistemology, okay? So science is basically the observation of objects. Okay, so we discovered a method called empiricism where we would just quantify and qualify every known object in existence and try and find out what it is, what it does. And this has been an almost miraculous method or methodology of discovering truth, And I'm all for it. But then what happens is it oversteps a boundary, right? Because there are things that science cannot know. And the first thing that science cannot know is anything about God. God is not an object that you can study and do experiments on, okay? So the only honest... And this is so frustrating in today's world because the scientists are pretending that they know something about God when they can't know anything about God through the scientific method. It's impossible. Okay, so this is just false. It's falseness on the part of scientists. Now, the only thing that scientists can do is offer an opinion on religion. All right. Now, if you have a scientist that says this religion's hokum bokum, I'm probably going to agree. Okay, and let's just leave it at that. And that's as far as science can say about any metaphysics or ontology of religion or spirituality or God. Excuse me. I'm riffing on steam of consciousness. So, okay, look at, as far as the outcome of science in the modern world, I think there's been two massive failures within the scientific world establishment community. And that is developing a clean energy source to scale the current civilization, I think it's been a massive failure. I don't think there's even one town of 10,000 people after 150 years of science that is living a sane, clean, ecological life with non-fossil fuel energy sources. Okay, so this to me is insane that this hasn't happened, and we could speculate on why it hasn't happened as because of the control mechanisms of the Rockefellers, who will never allow an alternative energy source to even bubble to the surface. I know that's conspiracy, but it's a rational conspiracy. There's something coherent and consistent about it. So until we deal with these people, there's no alternative. And to not even have one town, just one town of 10,000 people after 150 years, is the height of insanity to me. And let alone universities. Where is one university that is a complete ecological system of 10,000 people studying and learning without fossil fuels, without flushing toilets, with clean energy supply, where, this, to me, this is complete and utter failure on the part of science, and what really pisses me off about that is they can't even do that, and yet they're on 24/7 about something they can't know anything about, which is basically, their pretense to reductionism. Now let me say this on reductionists. This is not a doorway for sneaky Pete's to come in and start saying, oh, science, like Ken Wilber, who goes on and on and on about some kind of spiritual teleology. No. What Ken Wilber's espousing is religion, okay? Now, at that point, you either want to buy into his religion or not. And if you want to buy into his religion, great. I think he might be right. But let's call it what it is and stop being a sneaky Pete and saying this is science, because it's not science. Okay? Now, at some point, could science, come to a consensus that the laws of physics as we know them are altered? Yes. But I don't think that's anywhere near happening. And this gets into my own personal beliefs about pantheism, and that the best that we can do right now as far as any kind of spiritual worldview is a pantheistic outlook on it. So what that means is that the only thing we know about God through science is what science tells us. So we know that evolution, biological evolution, is how God works in this universe. We know that there's 4 energies. There's the strong nuclear energy, there's the weak force, there's electromagnetism, and gravity. We know this. We know that this is how the universe works, right? And this is the best way to view God at this point in time. Whatever the natural sciences are correct about is the way God is. Okay, but that's once science gets into the philosophy of science, then it's no longer empiricism. Now, you can go in the philosophy of science, you can say, oh, well, this is a holographic universe, or this is, there's multiple dimensions, right? And I'm not going to argue against that, but that's not empiricism. This is the philosophy of science. They're speculative. Could they turn out to be true? Yes, they could turn out to be true. But we can't treat them as they're true right now. Okay, what they are is reasonable speculations about the material universe and possible dimensions beyond it, or how the universe works in a sort of alternative speculation. So what else do I have to say here? Oh, please, the scientists, the IPCC scientists, please invade the classrooms of the economists, okay? form a coup d'etat against these people. They're insane, okay? Like you're putting out another piece in the Huffington Post is not going to do anything to solve the problem. What you need to do is go in and beat the crap out of these economists and kick them out because they're insane, thinking that they can do this neoliberal mayhem, this capitalist mayhem. An 1850 way of thinking, right, is still acceptable with the conditions on the planet, what they're going to be in the next 100 years, with the amount of population, the limits to growth, not thermonuclear, but the laws of entropy. There's real limitations on this planet, and could we possibly exceed those limitations in a healthy way? Yes, it's possible, but that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is mayhem, okay? What's happening here is a mafia, casino-run, Russian roulette game with life in the planet, and this is absolutely insane to do this. So please, Mr. Shermer, go in, and I don't often advocate violence, but go in and beat the crap out of those economists, please, and kick them out. Get them out of there and get somebody who can actually come up with a sane view. What a sane view would be a steady state economy, okay? And please don't throw out this manipulation that was the communist capitalist economy to manipulate populations. This is just bullshit. All right, I'm not advocating for communism, okay? I'm advocating for sane policy as we head into the most possibly destructive century in human existence. All right, so did I miss anything? Oh, probably, but that's just the way stream of consciousness is. Don't blind me with science. www.andrewmarkmusic.com on what is science.